You introduce yourself and just talk about what Terra Birds is for anyone that's not familiar with the organization?
Sure. So my name is John Taylor, and I'm on the founding team and currently work for a nonprofit organization called Terra Birds in Flagstaff. And as Terra Birds, we lead and support school garden and stewardship programs. We have a teen jobs program. Over the years, we've worked with the City of Flagstaff community gardens quite a bit. But in summary, it's just about helping lead people in the role of being stewards. There's a little bit of an acronym in our name. Terra Birds is about being innovative, resourceful, dedicated stewards.
Very cool. But how long has Terra Birds been working in Flagstaff?
We officially became a 501c3 nonprofit in February of 2013. So we're going into our 12th growing season. The roots of the project started about 3 years prior to that. I did my first school garden program at Puente Elementary School in the fall of 2009. I was asked to lead a garden program for a family, their fourth grader at Puente, and it was through doing that I discovered just the niche of schools wanting and needing support for their gardens, and just fell in love with the process of working with kids. And then started going to more schools, and then came to Ponderosa High School, where we are right now. And then it was through that discovered the need to form a nonprofit and really dig into this.
So how many schools and how many students do you usually work with on an annual basis?
It varies according to just all the variabilities of life in Flagstaff. Some schools we've been working at the same schools for many years. Other projects and programs come and go a little bit. It seems to average at any given season, often working in some way or another with 12 to 14 schools.
Oh wow, okay, and that's charter schools, private schools, public schools, like you do?
Yep.
Anyone who's
I don't know
interested?
if there's any private schools, but definitely public and public charter schools. And we have started to travel up to the Grand Canyon Unified School District a little bit. We go up to Page now to Sayato High School, and then there's a public charter up there called Glen Canyon Outdoor Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you partner with a school, is it mostly doing helping them establish gardens, or doing their landscaping, or what all do you usually do hands-on with the kids, and then more with the school itself?
Again, it varies.
Okay. What they need.
Yeah,
basically.
just kind of, some schools have a totally blank slate. They're like, oh, we want to, do a natural area or a garden, and we have nothing. Help us.
Right.
Sometimes there's something already established and they just need a little help. And but I feel like personally I should say is Terra Birds, what I enjoy the most and feel like we've done the best is some of these situations where there's almost a blank slate, blank patch of dirt or a hard pan beat down chunk of grass. It's like, let's transform this into a little slice of urban nature or garden. That's where it gets the most exciting, I know, for me, to stand out there with kids and a teacher and let's imagine what this place could be, what do we want it to be, and how do we get there. And it takes years. It's not a one-off quick thing, but it's a big vision. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what's happened here at Ponderosa.
Yeah, this is really neat.
I've got some before pictures maybe you could snap and you could plug them in there,
Yeah,
because it's cool. It's kind of gone from just a blank slate to this habitat where we see all kinds of birds and little reptiles and critters. And
for anyone who hasn't been driven by Ponderosa High School, that's very cool, even just from the outside, to see this very natural green space that you guys have here. And I haven't been here before, but I have been peeking over the fence for years going, gosh, that looks really neat. So it's definitely cool to see all of the native plants. So you do, it seems like you focus both on kind of native species, ecologically beneficial species, as well as food production.
Yes.
So that's kind of neat.
It is, and one of the themes that we talk about a lot in our school garden programs is how a school garden can kind of be a microcosm of the world that we're in. And especially when you put yourself in the mindset of a 10-year-old, for example, the schoolyard is a big part of their world.
Right.
And when we can sort of discuss themes of sharing space, serve our needs as people, but also be aware of and look out for the needs of wildlife and other living things, you can kind of play out all those scenarios in a school garden.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like you said, that's where having native plants mixed with, some non-native plants and food plants and garden areas that are specifically like our food garden, but then food forests, and so it's, I enjoy that. It's just that mix.
Mm-hmm. So if a parent was interested, like if their school was not involved with Terra Birds, would they be able to just get a hold of you via your website and your email and see if you were interested in coming to their school, or what's kind of the process where you guys engage with a school?
That's an excellent question. I think the key point is that these projects start with somebody being like a champion of it or wanting it.
Right.
And sometimes that's a teacher, sometimes it's an administrator, sometimes it's parents. It could be anybody, but somebody, or better yet, bodies have to come together and want it. And I guess that's stating the obvious, but as gardeners, we know that it's not a one-off thing or a one-off project. It's an ongoing relationship.
Right.
And so we need that teamwork.
Mm-hmm.
But it's happened always where parents have reached out or a teacher, and our capacity is fairly limited. I mean, over the course of our life as an organization, we've grown and shrank and grown and shrank, and then of course there was the pandemic, and it just like the cycles of nature, we respond to the cycles of funding and availability and interest, and you name it. But in general, when a school community is interested, they'll reach out. We'll usually go visit and kind of gauge, what are we trying to accomplish and how are we going to get there. The way that we most typically work is to try to work with specific classes and go in during the school day, hopefully for 6 or 8 sessions in the spring, and then another 6 or 8 sessions in the fall with a class, again, to kind of develop a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, not just a one-off thing, but to really get involved with the kids, teacher, the space, and kind of form that relationship and have the sense of continuity with it.
Mm-hmm. And how do you usually receive funding for those programs? Is it through like grants, or does the school usually foot the bill for that, or a combination of things, I imagine?
Again, it's all of the above.
Yeah.
Kind of, continue with the garden metaphors, just sort of stacking functions and being kind of scavengers in the positive sense of the word. But it's like sometimes it's the tax credit monies. It's a little plug for. It's great when people do the tax credit choice and explain, because it's more than just a donation. I mean, that money comes back to people's taxes. So people can make tax credit donations to their school. Mm-hmm. And say, hey, we want to channel this towards garden work. Mm-hmm. So that's been part of it. We do get support every year, which we're very grateful for, from the Arizona Community Foundation of Flagstaff. Some of the other local funders like Stone Soup Fund, the Geo Family Foundation. And then super importantly, lately, we've had a lot of support from the Coconino County Superintendent of Schools. That's Cheryl Mango-Paget's office. And then the Education Service Agency, which is the county agency which supports all things education in the county. So that's public schools and public charters. And so we've partnered with them to write grants to the USDA and some of the infrastructure money post-pandemic. that's come into our community. So that's been super helpful.
I bet.
And yeah, so it's kind of all the above, and we apply for little grants. Some of the beautification and action grants over the years from the city of Flagstaff have been very helpful. So you kind of just got to go for it on all levels.
Mm-hmm.
And one way or the other, we piece it together. And then, of course, Ponderosa High School, where we are now, which is part of the Coconino County Accommodation School District, which is a less known district, but a really important, awesome one in our community. The Ponderosa community has been very supportive by allowing this to be our home base at Ponderosa.
Yeah.
This is kind of where we have our plants and our soil and our pots and our tools and our stuff.
Well, would you like to plug, I guess, your website, and or if somebody wants to get a hold of you guys for any of the purposes that we discussed, how would they go about doing that?
Yeah, good old fashioned website is probably the easiest, just terrabirds.org, TERRABIRDS, and Instagram and all the usual stuff. But I'd say the website has a button to click to send a message, and please do. Love hearing from people and getting feedback and suggestions and ideas. And we'll be at the plant sale. I just found out that the Master Gardener plant sale is May 25th, which I know we see you there, and really excited about that event. And we hope to have, we work with Gail Gratok from the Coconino County branch of the Extension Service, spends the fourth quarter with us here at Ponderosa High School. We grow a lot of veggie starts, and we'll also grow some native plants, not to the extent that like you do, but just little grass plugs and things. So that's a really fun community event where all the plant people come together.
It is. Yeah, I love the Master Gardener.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for being willing to talk